Which one? Problem 9, very good. Find the rate of change of the function. So we have a function that is 2x squared minus x plus 4. And we are given x equals 1 and x equals 4. I have to immediately find f of 1, and I have to immediately find f of 4, because I'm going to find the slope of the line going through those points. So 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 plus 4 is 5, 4. So f of 4 is 2 times 16 minus 4 plus 4, but these two go away, so it's 32. The same thing again, I have 1 comma 5, and I have 4 comma 32. All I need to find is the slope, but it's called the average rate of change. But this is the same thing. Once I have the 2 points, I have 32 minus 5. And I don't have to find the equation or anything, just find this number. So 32 minus 5, I think, is 27 divided by 3, which is 9. It is the rate of change if the numerator is the, for example, number of people, measured in people, number of people, and the denominator is measured in years, then I'll say 9 people per year. It's an increase because it's positive rate of change. So the measurement unit for 9 would be people per year. It's like, for example, I drive. When I drive, the action I'm performing is I'm creating the rate of change of distance with respect to time. I accumulate distance with respect to time. But if you ask me, what is your speed? I'm not going to say 30 miles because it's the rate of change of distance with respect to time. So I have to say 30 miles per hour. Good? Let me check again. I think I did start. Yes, I did. Okay, next. And is it uploading? Yes, it is. Okay. So here, find the x and y intercepts to graph. When x is 0, find y. When y is 0, find x. Do I need to show this? Okay, next one. I know it's not a very, all these classes of an hour and 15 minutes, I really like, right? So it's so much, but you really learned a lot. I hope you agree, because we covered a lot of stuff. A lot. Okay, so here we have a radical equation, a polynomial equation, and we have a quadratic in form. Which one? Or we move on? All of them. So let's take a look at the radical equation. The radical equation, x plus 13 equals x minus 7. We have to square both sides. It's already cleaned up. The radical is alone on one side. Everything else is on the other. So when you square both sides, remember, this will be a trinomial. If you simply write by mistake x squared minus 49, the whole thing collapses. So the left-hand side is x plus 13, and the right-hand side is x squared minus 14x plus 49. Always remember, if you just walk away with that from this class, which I hope is not just it, remember a binomial squared is a trinomial. Okay, now this is quadratic. It changed into a quadratic, so I have to set it equal to 0. So I'll move this and I'll move that. So x squared minus 15x and plus 36 equals 0. No one is forcing you to factor, right? You can use a quadratic formula. It happens that this is x minus 13 and x minus 2. Right, but I don't want you to spend 5 minutes on trying to factor it. If you can see it in 20 seconds, forget it. Quadratic formula, plug it in the calculator and you're done. Okay? I don't want you to waste your time. So from here we have x equals 13 and we have x equals 2. We did not state a domain on this one, so we have no choice, but we have to go back and check. But you do not check here. This is not the original problem. This is. Because if you plug them in this, they will both work. But that's not what we are solving. This is what we are solving. So when you plug in 13, obviously it's going to be okay, because 13 plus 13, what? That's why. I see. Sorry. That's why I said, what is going on?
As soon as you said it should fit, then there was that long pause.
Right, and I said, uh-oh. Okay, now it's okay. So 25 is square root of 5, 25 is 5, and 12 minus 7 is 5. Yes, but when I try to plug in 3, that is not possible. I don't care about this. This is a positive number, and 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Okay, the next one is any questions on this? So the next one is a polynomial. And we have x cubed plus 3x squared. I move everything to one side, and minus 243 equals 0. Because there are 4 terms, and I know my only chance is factoring by grouping. So I'll factor from the first 2, which is x squared, and x plus 3. And if I don't get an x plus 3 from the other 2, then I can continue. Negative 81. Let's check. Negative 81x, yes. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 8 is 24. So then how many solutions do I have to get? Yes, always write on the side so you don't forget. 3 solutions. So then I have x plus 3, and then x squared minus 81 will be x plus 9 and x minus 9. And here are my 3 solutions. Negative 3, 9, and negative 9 as expected.
You didn't put a negative sign in front of it.
Say it again.
Where it says x, you have x equals 3, not x equals negative 3.
I can't get away with anything here. My apologies, of course, thank you, of course. Did I say negative 3?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't write it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get to my age. You'll see how it is. Okay. The last one of these equations is a x to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 4 equals 0. Of course, I set it equal to 0. The first thought is, what is the degree of the polynomial? So I know exactly how many solutions I expect or I'm looking for. And I am looking for 4 solutions. Real, imaginary, all the same, I don't care. But I need 4 solutions. Okay, so you either say, oh, I can factor this, or you say, I don't know. I don't see it. So then you change the equation into y squared minus 5y plus 4 equals 0, and then y minus 1 and y minus 4, which is quite elegant. But now you have to go back to the notation. What did you do? What did we denote by y? It's x squared. Not this. It's this. So then we have the equation x squared equals 1, and of course x squared equals 4. Don't forget 4 solutions. Which method do I apply for x squared equals 1? You can say factor. Oh, I agree. But it's already in the format of taking square roots. Why not? And I cannot forget plus or minus, because I expect 4 solutions. Any questions? Is this okay? Okay, so let's continue. Find the equation of a line. That's the extra credit. Last problem. I think it's the last. Yes. Find the equation of the line passing through a point and perpendicular to a line whose equation is given. So here's the idea. We want to find the equation of this line. Say it again. Yeah, I'm just copying and I'm going to switch it right this moment. Yes. For once, I was aware of it. The entire semester I wasn't. I had to apologize to you, but this time, just this time, for once I know what I'm doing. Okay. So this is the scenario. I'm not graphing any of these equations exactly. Actually, they may have a totally different slope. I don't care, but this is just the idea. So we're asked to find the equation of this line passing through this point and perpendicular to this line. Again, I don't care for an exact graph, just the scenario here. So I have a point which is not the y-intercept, so it's y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1 with 4 for y1 and -2 for x1. But I'm having a problem with this. I don't know how to determine the slope. Well, actually I do.
It would be the reverse.
The negative multiplicative inverse of the other one.
Reciprocal.
Yes.
What you said.
Yes. So I have to solve this for y. If I don't solve for y, this equation, I will not be able to determine the slope of this line and then the slope of this line. So I'll move to x, and I have to divide by -7. Term by term. Do not just write a fraction line and -7. That's not going to help. So term by term, we divide by -7. So y equals 2 over 7, x minus 5 over 7. So now I have this slope. Has nothing to do with x. Please do not assume that the slope is 2, 7x. It's just 2 over 7. That's why this slope will be -7 over 2. Why -7 over 2? Only because 2 over 7 times -7 over 2 will be -1. That product is -1. So now I have everything. So then I have y minus 4 equals -7/2 x plus minus 2, which changes into x plus 2. I distribute -7/2 and I add 4. So the final simplified form is -7/2 x and minus 3. Oops. Okay, so that's basically the end of what I would recommend is redo these problems and other problems similar, and then come back on Wednesday with a list. Say, I want to see this again, I want to see this again. So now let's look at test 2. Okay, solve the inequality and present the solution in interval notation. So that's 1. What type of rational function is it? Is it type 1, type 2? Yes, which means the horizontal asymptote is always 0. Always. Okay, so that's a rational function. Then we're asked to graph a polynomial. Then we're asked to use long division to determine whether the factor, whether x plus 2 is a factor of this polynomial. And then this is the model, the trajectory of a ball. So maximum distance, height, etc. Find the domain of this function. Find the g comp f and g comp f of -1. Decompose a function into inner and outer. Write the equation of a circle. Find the inverse and graph both. Find the exact distance between those points and the coordinates of the midpoint. Graph using transformations. And complete two squares to identify whether this is the equation of a circle or not. So we have 20 minutes. We will not be able to finish the entire thing, but we have Wednesday to finish it up. And more questions from you. So please tell me what you would like to start with. This one, I completely agree, Chris. Completely agree. I was going to suggest. Okay, so we have x squared plus 6x plus y squared minus 4y plus 9 equals 0. So we have to complete two squares, one with x and one with y. And I remember somebody asked me for a list of all the links to send. Was it you, Victoria? Okay. So sorry. I forgot. I'll send it to you right now. After I upload the second video, so you have for today. And today is December 2nd. Okay. So, what does x squared plus 6x? What do these two terms need? To add to both sides or add and subtract, whichever you prefer to say.
9.
I agree, because it's 6 divided by 2 is 3, and we square 3 and we get 9. Absolutely.
Or can I ask you a question? Or if
Please.
you look at that, you can just sit there and say, well, if the middle term is 6x, you know that's 3x plus 3x. So then the third guy would be 3 squared.
Yes, yes, but but remember one thing. If this is, for example, 1, it will be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, but at least
because you will have 1/2 squared, which is 1/4.
Correct.
That's fine. Okay, but look at this. I already have it. I don't need to add. It's already there. So this and this and this are already there. Plus, what does y need though? Or these two terms, what do they need? What is the third term? They need a 4. So we're adding 4 to both sides. And can anyone give us what this is? It's y minus 2, everything squared, equals 0 plus 4. What is the center? And what is the radius?
-3 and 2.
Yes, very good. -3, 2, and 2. If we want to graph this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, we start with the center, and we create 4 points, all 2 units away. Here's the graph of a circle centered at -3, 2 with a radius of 2. Okay. Next. Is this clear? Okay, so let's take a look. Back to test 2. So we looked at the extra credit. What do we continue with? Yes. So the first one is a rational inequality. So negative x plus 1 over x minus 4, they say less than or equal to 0. Okay. Okay, so they're all factored. X is the variable in the problem. Negative x plus 1 is the factor from the top. X is another factor from the denominator. X minus 4 is a factor from the denominator. But what I'm really interested in is the whole thing. The variable in the problem goes from negative infinity to positive infinity. So I need how many numbers at the top? 1 for each factor. So can anyone give us the numbers in ascending order from left to right? So for this one, I have to have a 0. For this one, I will have to have a 4. And for this one, I would have 1. So that's the correct order, 0, 1, 4. 0, 1, 4. So 0, 1, and 4. Now I need to know what happens here. Look at the rational expression and tell me what happens under each.
You mean if it's going to be plus or minus?
No, either 0 or undefined.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. We didn't get, so first I have to identify this, this, and this. And then we put the plus and minuses.
Oh, okay.
So what happens under 0? Exactly. What happens under 1? Excellent. What happens under 4? Undefined. Is that clear? Is it clear that this expression must be undefined at 0 and 4? Yes? Perfect. So now let's put the signs. These have the same sequence from negative to positive, but this one, because the leading coefficient is negative, remember, these two are like this, but the top one is like this.
So it's going to be positive.
Right, it's the end behavior for same thing, right? So I have plus and minus, but minus and plus. So now here I count the negatives. What is the sign? Here I count the negatives. Here I count the negatives. And here I count the negatives. Perfect. Every time I have an odd number of negatives that I multiply or divide, the answer is negative. Every time I have an even number, the answer is positive. Perfect. So now, only now, what sign will I pick? What is less than or equal to 0? Is it positive or is it negative that is less than or equal to 0? Right. So here's negative, which means this and this. So x in the interval, I cannot accept 0. 1 I can accept. Union, I cannot accept 4. Infinity. Yes, sorry about that. Questions? Is this okay? Okay, so let's continue. So this was the first one. Here we're given, we did all these problems in class, but it doesn't matter. It's been a long time. So it models the concentration of a drug. Find the horizontal asymptote. What will be the horizontal asymptote for this? 0. Very good. Find the concentration after 1 and 3 hours. You're just going to plug it in. And then graph this function using the viewing window. And actually, I said do not put it in. You do not copy it. Just explain what you see in one sentence. Yes, no, polynomial, long division.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let's look at the long division. Now we mastered Gauss-Jordan, and we don't master long division. Really, I refuse to believe that.
The matrix is like a Sudoku puzzle.
Oh, good,
It's
good,
just
good.
like,
Okay.
I get that from
Good. I'm happy to see that and hear that. Excellent. Whatever it takes. I don't like telling you stories, and I don't want to waste the time, but I have to say quickly that I was on a plane recently when I went to that conference a couple of weeks ago, and Southwest has that flyer, that brochure that has Sudoku in there, hard, hardest, whatever. So I always go for the hardest. And it took me a while, and I didn't finish it. Here's this young man on my left. So he pulled that, and he saw me probably working on the Sudoku, so we tried to do it. And I said to myself, I'm going to kill myself. If he manages to do it, of course he didn't. After 10 minutes, he gave up. But I said to myself, if he does it in 5 or 10 minutes, then I should just.
you like side-eye.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so here it is. First, we have to check whether they are in descending order. So the answer is yes. And I see the degree at the top is 3, but there is one missing term. So if there is a missing term, I will leave some room. I may need it. If I don't need it, it's not going to hurt. But if I need it and it's not there, it will hurt because I will mess it up. Okay, x times what is x cubed? And the answer is x squared. So x squared times x cubed, I change the sign. X squared times 2, 2x squared, but I have to change the sign. Negative 2x squared, and I bring down the next in line. Remember, at the top, we do not lie, quote unquote. So x times what is negative 2x squared? So it is negative 2x. But now I have to distribute, change the sign, and write below like terms. Negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared plus 2x squared. Negative 2x times 2 is negative 4x plus 4x. And that's 3x, and I bring down 1. And this must be the final question. What is the final question? X times what is 3x? And the answer is plus 3. Notice, if we start with x squared, you cannot have x squared or x cubed. You have to go lower. And then if I get 2x, I have to go to lower degree. This has to be in descending order, always. So 3 times x is 3x, subtract. 3 times 2 is 6, but I have to subtract, and I get negative 5. So the answer would be x squared minus 2x plus 3 minus 5 over x plus 2. And that's the answer of the division x cubed minus x plus 1 over x plus 2. Bless you. So now I'm asking you, is x plus 2 a factor of x cubed minus x plus 1? No, because the remainder is not 0. If this were 0, I would have said yes. X plus 2 is a factor of that. But the remainder is not 0. So therefore, it cannot be. Questions? Questions? So here is a quadratic function. We're asked to, Felix, you want to start? So here we're asked to determine, I'll be right there, so if you're so comfortable. We're asked to find the maximum height. We're asked to find the horizontal distance. So let's look at the quadratic function. I had an error last time, so I made a copy for everyone. What happened was I wrote here, we already took care of the 10, I wrote by mistake and plus 10. So I wrote the problem one more time. This is a correction for you, for everyone. Since we already had a demand, I didn't need to add the 10 to it. Okay, so here's the problem. We have f of x equals negative 0.8 x squared plus 2.4 x plus 6. So we're asked about the maximum height. We're asked to find the maximum horizontal distance as well. So for the maximum height, please don't try to use the calculator. You have to determine negative b over 2a. Negative b over 2 times a, which is negative 1.6. And once we get this number, then we will plug it in the function to find the maximum height. So what do I get? So 24 divided by 16. It's 1.5, yeah. So then f of 1.5 will guarantee to be the maximum height, because that will be the vertex with 1.5 times a comma something. So let's find that. So f of 1.5 will be negative 0.8 times 1.5 squared plus 2.4 times 1.5 plus 6. I have no idea what that is. So negative 0.8 times 1.5 squared plus 2.4 times 1.5 and plus 6. I'm checking to see if I got all that correct. So yes, 1.5 squared, 2.4 times 1.5, yeah. So apparently it's 10.6, 10.5 feet. 10.5. And now for the horizontal distance. So we know that this is the situation. For the horizontal distance, we want to determine the x-intercepts. So f of x equals 0. Means 0.8 x squared plus 2.4 x plus 6 equals 0. I will definitely multiply both sides by negative 10 and get 8x squared minus 24x and minus 60. Yeah, you can simplify by 4, and I will do it. Okay, and now, of course, the quadratic formula, 6 plus or minus 36 minus. If you start here with a negative number, that will be a terrible mistake, please. Minus 4 times 2 times negative 15, which is negative 30. I'll change this in order not to use too many parentheses. So it's negative 4, but this number is negative, over 2 times a. So let's see what I get. So 36 multiplied by, 36 plus 4 times 30. Okay, so it's 6 plus or minus the square root of 156 over 4. Okay, so 6 plus the square root of 156, and I divide by 4, and the other one with minus. Okay, so x equals 4.6 and x equals negative 1.6. Any questions? Yes, Victoria? Because I didn't want to, I never ever solve a quadratic equation with a negative leading coefficient. And multiplying everything by negative 10 eliminates decimal numbers. So this times negative 10 is 8, this times negative 10 is 24, and this times negative 10 is negative 60. And then I'll also simplify it by 4 to make the number smaller.